What overlooked fact from a movie will completely change the way I see it? In The Room, Mark was named after Matt Damon. Tommy Wiseau thought his name was Mark Damon. In Return of the Jedi, it's implied that the Ewoks feast on human flesh when they were going to cook the gang on spits. At the end of the movie, there's certainly more than enough Stormtrooper fillies to go around. I don't think Chewbacca would have refused a portion. This one is a bit meta compared to what everyone else is posting, but Peter Pan is really just a demented childhood memory for the author, when he, the author, was 6 years old. Barry's, the author, next older brother David, his mother's favorite, died 2 days before his 14th birthday in an ice skating accident. This left his mother devastated, and Barry tried to fill David's place in his mother's attentions, even wearing David's clothes and whistling in the manner that he did. One time Barry entered her room and heard her say, "Is that you? I thought it was the dead boy she was speaking to," wrote Barry in his biographical account of his mother, Margaret Ogilvy, 1896. And I said in a little lonely voice, "No, it's no him, it's just me." Barry's mother found comfort in the fact that her dead son would remain a boy forever, never to grow up and leave her. The whole story is obvious a dark memory of Barry's childhood. His mother was bedridden with grief and clearly neglected him at a time when he couldn't fully understand why. Peter Pan is his dead brother, forever young and the hero. I think it's all about his wish to be spirited away from a loveless home to be with his brother, whom his mother made out to be perfect. Saving Private Ryan. In the beginning, when they are clearing out the trenches and bunkers after taking the beach, 2 German soldiers come out with their hands up and yelling, seemingly trying to surrender. They're both shot dead, and the American soldier says they were saying, "Look, I washed for supper." It was actually in Czech, not German. And the man was saying, "Please don't shoot me. I am not German. I am Czech. I didn't kill anyone. I am Czech." He was a Czech taken prisoner by the Germans and forced to fight for them. Made me sad when I learned that one. All the traps in Goonies are designed so that one person can make it through alive, especially if she is taken hostage and forced through the tunnels. The ship is rigged to be able to be sailed by a crew of 1, so the one person who makes it through the traps can sail away with the treasure for themselves. In The Dark Knight, the Joker tells Two-Face how he sees social order as the death of one being a tragedy only if the person is special enough, but that people who are expected to die don't get attention from others. He refers to this as being part of the plan and established order. In real life, Heath Ledger died before The Dark Knight came out and everyone talked about it. However, what a lot of people don't know is that Conway Wycliffe, a stuntman who worked on the movie, died as well when a stunt went wrong. The movie is dedicated to both men, but I don't need to tell you which one got more press. In Ghostbusters, Venkman, as far as he knows, is headed for a simple night out with Dana. Why then does he later produce a syringe and Thorazine that he was apparently carrying on his person? Dude, when you party with Bill Murray you just accept some things. In the movie Hook, the airline pilot who starts his address to the passengers by saying "This is your captain" is voiced by Dustin Hoffman, the actor who portrayed Captain Hook. It's a play on the old tradition, played straight in the Disney Peter Pan, that Hook also plays Wendy's father. Only one person died in the first Rambo, First Blood, and it was accidental. Originally 2 people were going to die in the film. 1, the helicopter guy, and 2, Rambo. There is no music in Castaway the entire time he is stranded on the island. They did this to heighten the feeling of isolation. There's no music and no Country for Old Men either. In Inglourious Basterds, the burning of the cinema at the end parallels the actual church burning by the Nazis at Oradour-sur-Glane, where women and children were locked within the building and burned alive. In fact, most of the movie sees us compelled to cheer on our protagonists as they commit war crimes and atrocities, scalping, carving foreheads, summary execution, etc. And we feel permitted to enjoy this because they are morally superior and justified in their actions given our knowledge of the vileness of their enemy and what they have inflicted upon our heroes. Yet this is exactly the pervasive mentality the Nazis used in reality to justify atrocities against the Jews and other minorities. In the movie Waterworld, Kevin Costner traded a jar of precious and rare dirt for a tomato plant, but the tomato plant was planted in a pot full of dirt. Silly merchant. He could plant anything in that jar of dirt. He could even plant a tomato. A lot of people watch the iconic scene in Singin in the Rain and assume the cop and pedestrians react the way they do because it's simply weird to sing and dance in the rain. However, the previous scene sets the time at around 2 AM, so it makes more sense thinking they probably see him as a ridiculous drunkard who's finally going home after a night of binging. That's the most well coordinated and cognizant drunk man I have ever seen. Shaun of the Dead spoilers ahead. The entire plot is revealed at the start of the movie. We'll have a Bloody Mary first thing. Mary gets impaled and dies. A bite at the king's head. Philip is bitten. A couple. David D. At the little princess. Liz. A stagger. When they pretend to be zombies. Down to the bar for shots. Killing zombies. Double quote. How's that? In a similar note, every pub on the pub crawl in The World's End has a name that foreshadows what happens in that pub during the film. The entire plot of Home Alone is set into motion when Kevin gets into a fight with his family over spilled milk. Look what ya did, you little jerk. Fight Club. When Tyler Durden calls the narrator back in the phone booth, the camera slowly tracks in towards the phone. On the left of the phone, a notice can be seen saying no incoming calls allowed. When Tyler and the narrator are on the bus, the long-haired guy pushes past Tyler without a word, then says excuse me as he pushes past the narrator. When Tyler and the narrator hit the first car with baseball bats, Tyler hits first, but the alarm is triggered only after the narrator hits, so men are littered throughout the movie. Also, after the car crash, you see Tyler pulling the narrator out of the driver's side. In Kill Bill, Volume 1, the bride kills 100 people. In Kill Bill, Volume 2, the bride kills only one. In Pinocchio, there's a group of men kidnapping boys and somehow magically turning them into donkeys, and absolutely nothing is done to stop this. And it's not like the consequences of it go away. Pinocchio keeps the donkey ears and tail for the duration of the movie. The movie just ends and everyone forgets that this is still happening. Kind of a dark ending there, Disney. I always liked the allegory of that scene. If you do whatever you want all the time, drink, smoke, frick about, you'll turn into a complete jackass. In The Fifth Element, the bad guy, Zorg, and the hero, Corbin Dallas, never actually meet or even really know about each other. In fact, Corbin works for, and is fired by Zorg, via the cab company. The closest they get to each other is getting into out of elevators on the cruise ship just before it blows up. That is what is most interesting about The Fifth Element. Zorg only vaguely knows Corbin as the guy they were trying to replace as radio contest winner and probably didn't even remember his name. Corbin has zero knowledge that Zorg is one of the people fighting against him. Ariel from The Little Mermaid can write in English. We know this because she signed her name, quite beautifully, on a contract after she read it. So why the heck didn't she attempt to communicate via written word with Eric? Instead of writing in the sand, she immediately resorts to clumsy ass charades. Dear Landwalker, I am a magical mermaid stalker who gave up my fishtail to be with you. Please marry me immediately and bone me in this magical vag I have suddenly developed. In the 1990 version of Total Recall, the character Quaid, played by Schwarzenegger, gets a dream implant and either gets a girl and saves the planet by making Mars's sky blue, or he has a psychotic episode from an implant that went off course and is lobotomized. The movie was apparently designed to be specifically unclear which, so the viewer is compelled to see the movie multiple times. The tech who sets up the implant, prior to a possible psychotic episode caused by the procedure, says of the implant that's a new one, blue sky on Mars. It works, because I can never remember whether it actually happened or not, and always think to myself I should watch it again to see. In White Chicks, a crack team of plastic surgeons could have simply repaired the small cuts on the sisters' faces instead of turning two black men into white women. The one problem with that flawless movie. Big Trouble in Little China is about the plucky comedic sidekick who thinks he's the main protagonist. District 9 is not, in fact, about apartheid. In Neil Blomkamp's short Alive in Joburg, on which D9 was based, there were similar interviews to those at the beginning of District 9. The difference is that all of those interviews were real. The filmmakers simply asked residents of Johannesburg what they thought of immigrants from Zimbabwe, and they received the remarkably hostile responses. The film isn't just a parallel to apartheid, but more so about the current sentiment towards immigrants right now. That is depressing as crap. In The Shawshank Redemption, Red tells Andy that Zahuatani Joe is just a crappy pipe dream. Andy crawls through a crappy pipe to get to his dream. In Ferris Bueller's Day Off, FB's constant complaint, and his justification for many of his shenanigans, is that his parents won't buy him a car. Toward the end of the movie, when FB's mom is driving his sister home from picking her up at the police station, there's a quick throwaway line where mom complains that all this mess screwed up the deal she was working on, and that the money from that deal was going to be used to buy Ferris a car. Ferris Bueller screwed himself out of the car he so desperately wants. It always struck me as odd that Ferris complained about not having a car, but had a $10,000 emulator II synth sampler in his bedroom. In Elysium, he gets the mech suit bolted over his t-shirt. It's to prevent chafing. In Goldfinger, James Bond ultimately saves the day by seducing a lesbian. In Independence Day, one often mocked scene in the movie is when Jeff Goldblum uses a regular old MacBook to hack into the alien ship and disable with a virus. The obvious question is, how the heck did they do this? It's simple. They cut a scene out, God knows why, where it was explained that all of our modern technology, computers, microchips, everything, was all reversed engineered from the crashed fighter, hence why Goldblum was able to hack into the alien ship. He knew the code already. Once you know this fact, those entire scenes make sense. Both magicians' final tricks in The Prestige are just the bird in a cage trick. They are the birds. Especially how Bale's character's trick doesn't kill the bird, but Hugh Jackman's version does. The main plot of The Matrix was supposed to use human brains as processors for the machines, not power sources. That's why Neo could do all those things. He could interact with the code more fully. Also, it explained the idea that the Matrix gets more unstable the more people are freed. Fred Kwan in Galaxy Quest, the tech guy that hooks up with the alien tentacle chick, was high the entire film. That's why he was always eating. They cut the scene of him actually smoking, so a lot of people surprisingly didn't get that. Lilo and Stitch. Pudge the fish controls the weather. Lilo's parents died in a car accident due to bad weather. For me, it explains a lot of Lilo's behavior. I've seen Frank Capra's It's a Wonderful Life many times, and have always enjoyed it. Maybe a decade ago, I noticed something new and small that really astonished me. The scene is where George is still in the George Free world, and is running down the snowy main street. The policeman draws his gun, fires, and misses him. Several blocks away, the marquee of a movie theater is visible in the distance. A second after the gunshot, a single light bulb on that marquee goes dark. Now that is attention to detail. This is only in the deleted scenes, but at the end of the Terminator Uncut, the camera pans up outside the factory where the T-800 is crushed to show the company name, Cyberdyne Systems. Amadeus. Salieri is just a crazy old man telling a priest about how hard and unfair life God has been taught him, since it is 100% his, somewhat twisted, point of view on Mozart's life. It doesn't have to be completely historically accurate regarding the real Mozart. It actually makes for a better story to have the unreliable narrator. The voice of E.T. was played by a 2-pack-a-day smoker who had never acted before. That was her actual voice. The little boy from The Shining had no idea he was making a horror movie, not until after it was finished and released. Now you can look at The Shining again, but through his truly innocent eyes. Marty McFly. His new family is nothing like his old one. Mom, dad, sister, brother. They are all nothing like they were before. They are new people, with different lives and different personalities. And Marty can't do anything to get his old family back. The one he knows and loves is gone forever. He'll quickly forget and adapt to the new way of life. It's the ripple effect or something. Besides, his old family was pathetic. Ernest P. Worrell probably murders numerous prison guards with his electrical powers during his escape in Ernest Goes to Jail. This is one my friends and I always bring up. These guys are just there, working this crappy, low-paying job, when this butthole busts out of prison and is making jokes and comical gestures while electrifying anyone that stands in his way. The original script for Caddyshack was a movie about golf caddies. The final film was a result of many comic geniuses improvising on set. This is incredibly clear when you see the movie the first time, and at some point between a quarter to halfway through the focus shifts significantly from the caddies to the adult comedians. In the original Star Wars saga, the Stormtroopers only appear to be a bad shot because Vader wants Leia captured alive. If you notice in the intro scene of A New Hope, the Stormtroopers easily board their ship and wipe out the rebel forces, along with the Empire Strikes Back, when they easily push rebel forces to retreat from Hoth and their previous base. The chestburster scene in the first Alien movie was almost completely ad-libbed. Scott wanted to get as natural a reaction as possible from the actors, so he didn't clue them into what was to happen. They were told something shocking was to happen in the scene, but not exactly what. The reactions that you see as the blood sprays over everything are as real as they can get. Man, that must have been a big surprise for John Hurt. You have been visited by the chunk of good fortune. Like this post to enable good fortune for 26 minutes. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check out another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day, you magnificent people.